Good morning, folks. Back in the saddle again after a fairly long break over April. Essentially destroyed my health, but all good now. So, just checking out the markets. Trading's been going fairly well for the most part, personal trading, since I started back around the beginning of May. The only thing that hasn't been going quite so well was futures, which was started out great, but Rhythmic seem to be in the midst of some upgrades at the moment, and essentially there was some weird ghost in the machine thing where it was opening and closing random orders of varying sizes both ways on ES, which sounds totally bizarre, and it is. It happened to me twice, so it kind of, essentially ruined my confidence in futures trading for a little bit. So I'm basically waiting for Rhythmic to sort themselves out. I figure it's some kind of just teething issues with their upgrades. I'm just going to feel it out over this week. I'm just doing spot trading on personal funds, which I used to do for the longest time anyway. I did that for years, just analysed futures volumes and traded the spot market, because although the prices are different, the futures contract is essentially a derivative of some underlying asset. So in the case of NQ, you're trading the NASDAQ index for future delivery at whatever the contract settlement date is. So although the prices are different, you can still spot trade them because the turns happen at the same time. Otherwise, there would be an arbitrage opportunity, and that would be mopped up instantly. And arbitrage in liquid markets, arbitrage opportunities in liquid markets are very rare indeed. They happen sometimes, but it's still very tradable just to trade spot, and it's a lot less hassle than futures prop trading, because you have the annoyance of all the rules with Apex, for instance, but all of the futures prop firms have the trailing stop rule, i.e. the stop trails your max equity, which was the kind of biggest thing that I had to adjust to moving from the CFD prop trading world. But I have kind of got to grips with it. But the technology issues was the latest slip up. So I'm just going to feel it out this week and then go back into futures probably towards the end of the week or maybe the start of next week. But I'm giving it a break for now and just traded basically personal funds, spot markets. But anyway, we're looking at NQ today. Last night, I wanted to try and catch the reversals on cable and 6B. I'm sorry, cable and gold. Essentially, Dixie came down to complete this May low, which was an unfinished auction. And I think that job is now done. And I think this is being set up as a poor low for a future event, maybe NFP. So this is quite a strong level, but I think it will break by NFP time. So just clean this up a bit. So Dixie's in a range at the moment, okay? So all the range trading rules apply. You want to be buying an asset near the bottom of the range and selling towards the top. So I think the dollar index is headed towards this weak high next. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's not going to be a straight shot up, but it's done what it needs to do here just by completing the auction from the May low. I noted on the footprint that it was an unfinished auction. So usually unfinished auctions, they'll just quickly complete and then reject, which is what's happened. So unfortunately, I didn't remain in my cable sell. I got in slightly early, late yesterday, after PMI. What I failed to do was check retail sentiment afterwards. So essentially everybody was shorting cable after PMI, the broad retail market. So they got squeezed and the drop is happening today. So a bit annoying. So I had to close those positions in drawdown, but essentially I just wiped profits that I made on GC, which was, we took it live actually with someone on the group. We took the buy, I believe it was around here, and we rode it up to, well, I rode it up to just below the single print here. Could have held higher, but I thought that was a safer entry, just below the single print. Essentially, I had my TP split above this week high. But we'll talk about gold another time. I think NQ offers the best kind of setup for today. In my opinion, we want to be selling until, at minimum, this RTH low from yesterday, i.e. yesterday's New York low, goes. I think it will also clip the unfinished auction from last week's low. So let's see if that happens on JOLTS. But there's also a pullback opportunity around the bottom of the middle distribution from last week's value area, last week's weekly profile. So I'll just talk you through my kind of idea for NQ and the notes that I made. So apologies, it's a bit of a line soup, but I need this as a kind of mind map. Essentially, this is my mind map for trading each asset, and I appreciate that it won't make much sense to, you know, just looking at it straight off the bat. It's kind of for me to plan out where I want to trade, because each setup that I use needs some context behind it, right? They're not used in isolation. Nothing is used in isolation in trading. You need context. My whole idea of trading is you need direction, first of all, which is mostly trend structure and resting liquidity on the book. You also need a level, which for me is confluences that can be on weekly profiles, TPO volume, and also daily volume profiles and daily market profile. So I like to look for confluences for the level. And then you need confirmation. And I like to have some kind of backwards looking order flow and present looking, which is the footprint, and forwards looking, which is the book, essentially the depth of market, which we visualize using the heat map. So let's just pull that up. So you can see on ES, there's a big mountain of liquidity on the bid, which will very likely be tapped into later. NQ, it's probably less clear, but you can see it down at 18,500. So in the morning, I want to be a seller and I want to be a buyer later. So I'll talk you through my analysis just to kind of explain that a bit. So weekly's in a consolidation period. We have a kind of distinct balance between the 2 week prior all-time high and volume support, which is kind of demarcated by the 4 week value area. So it's basically a range. We're in balance between this kind of level, this area. We formed a lower low and lower high this week and a kind of triple distribution, which I've kind of marked out here. It's quite hard to see, but essentially it's a triple distribution. I expect to stay broadly within the realms of this kind of range, but I think both the lows and highs will be tested this week for various reasons. The low mainly because we have an unfinished auction, and the highs because we have this kind of poor high. It's like a double top. With that said, I don't think ES will make an all-time high, but that's a different story. A new all-time high, that is. So yeah, last week's low left an unfinished auction, which was shown, left a weak high shown on the market profile, but not the footprint chart. So we've left a double top, and given the higher volatility on NQ, think that makes sense that we'll test both the low and high. So range trading rules apply. You basically want to be looking for buys near the bottom, sells near the top, obviously. Try to avoid dancing around in the middle, but if you have some clear thesis, it's okay. And we're actually coming back for a good kind of pullback sell right now, so that's kind of what I want to record. There's a potential kind of bull trap on ES, which is kind of interesting, I thought. There's like a bull flag forming. If you can see through all my notes, there's like a bull flag forming, which looks like a bit like a bull trap. So I expect we'll see some kind of test up into this inefficient area that's been left behind. But that's kind of by the by. So yeah, I'll trade both ways on NQ. My favorite trade is a buy below last week's low. But we can also sell down to there for JOLTS, I think. And JOLTS is at about 3 p.m. UK time. Yeah, 3 p.m. So yeah, how does that look? Whereabouts to sell? Well, I've got kind of an idea here. I've got VWAP here. Now setup 3 for me is a test of VWAP with RSI divergence, but we have a couple of kind of wild cards. Got kind of a clear imbalance area here between 622 and 624. Got an unfinished auction at 633 and a larger imbalance area above it. That's from 635 to 640. So that's what I'm looking out for. I hope that we get a pullback sell somewhere maybe slightly above VWAP. Could be VWAP close, but mainly I'm looking at these imbalance areas. We'll just observe the order flow in the moment and keep an eye on the order book. Look out for things like sweeps and reclaims, book flips and the like. And I may try to record this with demo trading because I'm not trading live futures this week because of aforementioned rhythmic issues. It's just I don't think it's worth it until I see that there's some kind of clarity there, because it's a big mindset screw up, you know. It doesn't help at all when it's opening and closing random orders. It opened 6 pages of orders for me a couple of weeks ago, and it was up to like 24 lots, 24 contracts E-mini each way, which is above the maximum on the accounts anyway. It was just completely bizarre, and yeah, it's kind of just making me reevaluate Apex. I'm just pausing futures trading for a bit. I'm definitely not abandoning it. I'm just sticking to spot this week so I can bring some money in. So in summary, if we get a pullback, look out for a test of the VWAP area or these imbalance spots, either above the unfinished auction or slightly below. So that's 621 to 623-ish, or 635 to 639. That's VWAP close from yesterday, so it's also worth watching. And the things I like to look out for are, you know, declining volume as we get to the area, some kind of accumulation, maybe like a little kind of upthrust after distribution kind of thing, like a liquidity grab, a quick spike up, and then wait for the move to establish a little bit, and then watch pullbacks on the footprint. And we'll try and record that, or maybe even stream it, but that's just my outlook for today. Yeah, so I want to sell broadly to at least the RTH low from yesterday. I think that'll definitely go today. I hope this low goes as well. I'll leave some runners to there. After that, I want to be buying. And we'll just have to observe the order flow. This is all kind of volume confluence and open, high, low, close confluence as well. ES, what you want to be looking out for is you want to see ES not breaking last week's low, because this auction is finished. It's quite a strong low. It was a very strong rejection from I think it was 4 weeks ago. Volume value area, a big confluence area that bulls needed to defend. We pointed that out in the weekly notes. I didn't actually trade much equities last week, unfortunately. Had some good ideas in it, but didn't trade them due to rhythmic issues yet again. Other things, I think dollar's gonna steadily move up to this week high. I'm hoping that I can get back into this cable sell eventually, because I believe it's gonna eventually go down to an unfinished auction, which I'll just show you. This one, right? There's an unfinished auction here. It's the volume value area from 3 weeks ago, and there's a big void down here, a lot of confluences. So I think cable's headed down there eventually. I was in sales around here and I abandoned them there, so I took a hit on that, but made it back on a gold sell this morning. Did it on the group live. Essentially traded this. I started scaling in around here, and we traded the liquidity move. Now I don't know. I think it may have topped already. I'm just not sure if this is the grand reversal yet. I didn't trade the buy as suggested here because of my Dixie bias. I just took the sell down to around this low. I think we may have topped and we're in for the swing sell now. So I was also in that last night, and kind of closed that one around break even, and cable went in a loss. Where I wanted to take gold was all the way down to I've been talking about this for weeks, but I think we're gonna break 2 weeks ago low, or the 24th of May low. So I think we're gonna touch this previous week volume POC and possibly even below. But that move was missed. I was in it last night, but bummer. Same with cable, was in it last night, missed it. Just one of those things. Just jumped the gun. I went pure discretionary, and yeah, I didn't wait for full confirmation, but no big deal. Just it wasn't a major loss or anything. Just a little one. So keep an eye on NQ. Hopefully it makes a pullback to VWAP or up here. If not, focus on buys below last week's low. And if the trades come, I'll try to record or stream them. So that's all for now, and cheers, we'll talk soon.